The good thing is now that you've submitted the information, the state also allows for you to electronically submit the form to reactivate it. Whereas you used to have to mail everything in, wait for it to get reactivated. So now if you do it online, then it takes about 48 hours. So I can help you with that. The other thing I want people to know is this is the time of year too that when you don't get your tax refund in April or March when you file, the IRS has already been notified. The Treasury Department is notified typically around this time of the year. It starts in like October. So I have seen clients not receive refunds or find out they're not getting their money because on a federal level, they're going to hold it if you have back child support over $600. It depends on the state level, but anything that is back child support will automatically take your tax return. I've seen it on the state level where they also withhold it if you're late on your student loans. So student loans can also intercept those funds. On the state level, they will also intercept your things if you owe back taxes on DMV registration. So tickets and things like that, the state also has jurisdiction to take your money for that. Now, what's interesting is if you owe the IRS, the state will not take your tax refund. And if you owe the state of California, the IRS will not take that state refund. But the challenge with those are most people are waiting to receive their refunds in the 7 to 10 day window. And by the third week, they're realizing that I'm not getting a refund. And so we're trying to figure it out. So I would say be proactive this time of the year. There is a IRS offset number that you can call. Matter of fact, I want to say this number so that everyone has it. I'm sure the Treasury Department is going to thank me. They're going to get a lot more calls from people who want to be informed though. So you want to know if you're getting your money or not. So this is what is the IRS Offset Hotline. And this hotline will actually tell you if someone's going to take your money. In other words, offset. So the telephone number is 1-800-304-3107. Now that number is the number I give out most often during tax season because that number is going to give you an idea if there is any type of tax lien that's going to cause your tax return to be intercepted. Now it's important to understand it's only on the only on the IRS side. So if you owe money to your state agency or someone else is going to hold it, this phone number will not tell you that. But it will tell you the most important things, which are your biggest refunds usually coming from the IRS. So I always encourage clients, call that number ahead of time, find out now who could potentially be offsetting it, because the good thing is when you dial that number, it also gives you the contact information for the people who are going to take the money. And you can oftentimes call them ahead of time, try to work out a plan, try to see if there's a way to intercept it. I know with student loans, if you call them and you set up a plan where you're paying for so many months, then they usually won't offset your tax return. So if you can work it out to where you're agreeing to pay $100 a month for the next 3 to 6 months, and it's not going to offset your $4,000 tax return, it's certainly worth reaching out today to be proactive. I want to talk about sales tax. So a lot of you guys out there are running businesses, service-based businesses, or you're actually selling merchandise online. And I don't know if you're aware, but if you sell merchandise to other states, if other states are receiving it, and you're collecting sales tax on online marketplaces such as selling on Shopify, you'll see where it starts to notify you that you have jurisdiction and you've reached a threshold to now do reporting and payment of sales taxes in those different states. So it is super important that you find advice from someone like me who specializes in sales taxes, because you need to actually register in some of those states. You would be shocked and surprised that some thresholds for certain states are if you have one online sale. Other states say that you need to have it once you reach 100,000 in sales. But you can imagine if there's 50 states out there, you don't want to have to go and look through all the rules for those. So oftentimes I work with clients to set up a sales tax reporting strategy for them, making sure that their sales management tool is actually integrated in with the tax tool where we can pull out that local, state, and level sales tax and then do those reporting. Some sales taxes are reported on a monthly basis, some are on a quarterly basis, some are on an annual basis. But if you are selling merchandise across the nation, you need to make sure that you're evaluating each state to ensure you're not meeting those reporting thresholds for sales tax. I really enjoy working with entrepreneurs, as you guys, like that is like my tribe. It's like people who are thinking outside of the box, that we're going out disrupting how things are being done to make lives better for people. And so I love partnering with those people to come in from a financial strategy standpoint. I feel like people tell me what they're passionate about, and then I try to turn that into dollars and cents. But really like the financial acumen, I try to walk alongside them and understand what is it they're trying to do, what types of financial acumen that they need, and how to help them really understand what the financial health of their business is. So many times people come to me and they say, I'm making money, but at the end of the year, it feels like I haven't made anything. And if you're a person that feels that way, it's probably because you need to work with someone like me who is able to help you understand how are you measuring the financial health of your business. There are times when it's actually good for your company not to be making money, especially in those earlier years where you're doing more of your investments, your profits and stuff. You really don't want to judge at that point the long-term viability of your business. So I really like looking at the 3 to 5 year strategic plan. My ideal clients are generally clients who are somewhere between the $1 million and $5 million in revenue. I tend to gravitate at that group because that's really where people are starting to first encounter a lot of these issues. We're over $1 million in sales, and now I'm noticing we're in different states. We're over $1 million in sales, and so reporting how our inventory is tracked looks a lot different. So I feel like being a strategic partner with a lot of my clients and really taking that business out of the startup phase, but now you're going into the expansion phase, partnering alongside of them to kind of really think through how to best position their company financially so that they are profitable in the long run. For example, oftentimes people need help with understanding how to price a service. So if you currently offering your service for $200 a widget, and you just base that off of going out into the field and kind of, doing some online research and saying, what is the average price for this service today? I really try to take another approach with clients and say, all right, well, how much think time does this really require of you? What softwares and input tools are you actually paying for that makes you able to do the business? Are you hiring staff? Do you have an assistant or someone that's actually putting in 2 or 3 man hours to get that item packaged and sent out the door? When people overlook those types of expenses in their pricing, they really aren't measuring the true margin. I see oftentimes if they're selling, for example, a t-shirt, they're taking into account only the cost to manufacture the t-shirt. When in reality, it's also the cost of shipping, it's the cost of the software, the graphic designer that you're using to design the t-shirt, it's even the cost of the person in your store who's packaging that up. That may be a half hour spent. And so I really try to get into those details with clients, make sure that the pricing is right for the product. And then also we come back and evaluate it because as everyone sees, shipping costs today aren't what shipping costs were 2 years ago or even 6 months ago. And so really making sure that the client also has a way to build out a system to where they can always be updating pricing in order to match their cost adjustments as well.